All right, so good evening once again. I asked us to go and watch the last two videos in order to bring us to the same page. And I believe we must have done that. Have we?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we are still on the data types. And in this section, we shall be looking at advanced data type. Advanced data type in JavaScript. Advanced data types. Advanced data types. Now, just to recap briefly on the primitive data type that we have been on for a while now. You could remember we started from variable. Then after variable concepts, how to declare variable, how to use JavaScript keyword like let, var, cost to declare variable syntax. And then we also learned JavaScript's basic data type or primitive data type, where we discuss the string, how to work with string, how to create a string variable, how to create integer variable, how to work with Boolean variable, and the rest of them. So that is actually the end of the or primitive variable or primitive data rather in JavaScript. So we are going to look at uh, advanced data types in JavaScript. So what do we mean by advanced data type? These are a set of data types that can be used to hold multiple value. So if you look at the concept of variable, it can only hold one value. If you look at this first underscore name variable, is assigned to only one value or only one value is stored in it. Now, in programming, this is considered to be a memory consumption. So because if I have to store three different names in a variable, I will have to create three different variables. So that will amount to unnecessary consuming or usage of the memory that can lead to the program underperforming. That is some slowness in response. So to avoid that, they introduce multiple data structure. That is data type that can hold multiple value. And that is where we are starting from in this section. So we're going to start with JavaScript array. JavaScript array. So let me clear the whole of this and use this particular sheet. JavaScript array, so in case we are writing. JavaScript arrays. So JavaScript array is one of the multi-structure data type. In other words, it is one of those data type that can be used to hold multiple value in a program. So let's have the proper definition of what JavaScript array is. So JavaScript array is a fundamental data type structure used to store multiple values. Is a fundamental data structure. So let me see if I can put it here. A fundamental data structure that can be used to store multiple. So the emphasis here is multiple values, because looking at variable concepts, you can only store one value per variable. But this set of data type can hold multiple value. So multiple structure that can store, or fundamental data structure that can store multiple value. Okay, in a single variable, in a single variable, in a single variable, in a single variable. So I hope we understand what it means. That is, just like we have that variable that I just cleaned now, where we have first name storing only Prosper. So I can as well decide to use any of these advanced data type to store my name or multiple information about Prosper. So let's quickly look at how to create JavaScript array. How do we declare it? How to create JS array. JS array. How do we create it? Now, remember that definition says that you are storing multiple values in a single variable. So what makes it not to be described or called variable is at the moment, or that moment where it stores multiple value. So when it stores one value, we can just, describe that as variable. So the moment it starts storing more than one value, then it's no longer called variable. It becomes array or any other data structure. Now, we need to pay attention to the syntax. I have been emphasizing on that for some time, that in programming, once you understand the syntax, it will help you to navigate. Syntax, like I have defined before, is a set of rules that governs how code are written across all programming languages. The way you write your code in JavaScript, the syntax will tell a programmer that, okay, because the code is structured this way, this is JavaScript language. Because the code is structured that way, this is Python. So every programming language has its own syntax. So in this case, you just have to understand, if I am to declare array, which is a multiple data structure, that is a data structure that can hold multiple value, how do I declare it? Just like I taught us that if you want to declare variable, you start by declaring its name, then the assignment operator, and then you declare the value. So if it is a string value, you quote it. If it is number, you don't quote it. So that is the rule for declaring variable. Now, we are talking about declaring array. So how do we write array? If you look at that definition, a variable is still mentioned. But this time around, you are saying that one variable holding multiple values. So which means that you still require to create a variable. So remember the keyword. So I could say let. So I'm creating an array of fruits. So let me put it here as if we are tasked to do this. That is, as a programmer, let's assume we are asked to do this. As a programmer, create an array that stores lists of 5 fruits. List of 5 fruits. So this is just like a task given to us. So the interpretation here is that we are to create a single variable that can hold or that we hold 5 different fruits. Ordinarily, we will have created 5 different variables to hold each of them. But since we are using array concept, we can store all the 5 fruits in one variable. So I will say let's. I believe you understand why we are using let. Let is a JavaScript keyword which is used to declare variable, okay? Which is used to initialize or to recognize variable in JavaScript programming. So I'll give the name of the variable, the single variable, which is now the array expected to hold 5 fruits, a name, let what fruits. Let fruits equals to. Now, when you are dealing with JavaScript array, there are 2 ways you can actually create array. So this very one that I am creating now, it is called array literal. I will explain once I'm done declaring it. Array literal. We refer to this one as array literal. Now, array literal is where you are using a variable concept, or you are declaring your syntax not using an inbuilt function, which is called constructor, to initiate the array. So I think the practical will explain better. So if you are using the literal method to create an array, the syntax is that you call the name of the variable or the name of the array, and then you use square bracket to select all the values. Now, that same way we are working with variables. When you store string in variable, you quote them. When you store number in variable, you don't quote them. So the same thing. So remember, the question says that as a programmer, create an array that stores list of 5 what? Fruits. So which means that these are strings. The name of fruit are text. They are not number. So we envelope them in a string notation, which is the quotation. Either single or double is also acceptable. So I will just call the name of the fruit. Let's say the first one is apple. Then I will put a comma and call a string again to declare the second fruit. Let's say mango. Then the same format, put a comma and then call the string. Let's say purple. Or so we are going to 5 of them as the question says. String, let's say cashew. Cashew, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need one more, comma, string. Let's say banana. Banana. So these are the 5 fruits. So you can see how we have saved space. Remember, you must always end your code line with the semicolon in JavaScript. So what this multiple structure data has helped us to do is that you will have created 5 different variables to be able to hold all these 5 fruits. But because we are using advanced data type like array, we have been able to what? To store all of them in one variable. So that is the concept. Now, if I now want to output, I want to display the values of the array. Okay, so let me use comment. So let's say, therefore output are the values of fruits. So fruits in this case is the what? The array. So I'm going to still consult those JavaScript output method that we have discussed before. So like I said, I am going to be using the one that allows us to write our variable value directly in an HTML element for rendering through the browser. So I will also go to my HTML. So I already have this here. So let me use this ID, which is demo1. So if I go back to my JavaScript, so I will simply say document dot get element by ID as usual, then declare your string, then type the ID of the element you want to use to render all the values of the array in a browser to the users. So now remember that this method requires storing the HTML elements in this method, which means .inner, as I've explained. So this .inner is just like, this is what is taking, this is what is coming here to take this particular element. Remember that that ID, which is demo, has already what? Selected this particular element for rendering. Okay, so at this point, this element is just like the container that will help us to carry the JavaScript array value and display them via the browser. That is the role. Now, when you now say inner HTML, in other words, from here, we'll have traveled to the HTML and take the whole of this and store it here. Take the whole of that HTML and store it here. Now, remember that now that it has selected the p tag with an ID demo, now when you say dot, that dot means concatenation. That is the element you have selected, add it here, and then equals to, you supply the list, sorry, the array variable, which is what? Fruits. So you just call fruits, and then you also end your code. Now, what did that mean is that this become a kind of variable, an empty container, which is that what? A p tag with an ID demo. Then remember, just to refresh us, is remember that we did not supply anything here as comment or as content rather. So which means that we just created it as an empty container because we have an intention of passing this value into it. Okay? You know, ordinarily, if I have listed those values here, if I don't want to involve JavaScript, what I will have done is to list apple here, comma, list mango, comma, then cashew, comma, until I get to banana. But we silent the content. We left the content part of that element, of that tag, empty, because our plan is that the content are already created in JavaScript and stored in this variable. So we are using this method to allow us to connect or to pick that ID, to pick that element, that empty element by its ID, and then attach it and store it here, attach it to the variable that is holding the values in JavaScript. So if I go back to my HTML and render now, let's check the front end if we'll be able to see the arrays outputted. So I believe it's clear to us. Please, you can unmute and respond if it's clear or not. So you can see that we have been able to output all the arrays values. Any question?
No, sir.
This is constant. Hope there's no question also. So I can proceed.
I use this method in one of my one of my class work that I did. But I didn't know it was another name for it.
Okay, yes, it is called array. It is called array. Now, let me also show us how to create array using constructor. Creating an array using array constructor. So this is actually where you use a function. So there is a function that is already created in JavaScript, which you can actually use to initiate or to create array other than this syntax method. So the syntax for that, if you want to use that, so at the end of it, you'll be the one to decide either you want to be creating array using the syntax or using the constructor. So what brings about that constructor is that you are using an inbuilt function to create the array as an object, or you are using one of the default or inbuilt JavaScript property to create array. So the syntax is this. So I will do the same thing. I will say let me do this way. Let me assign a task so that we know how we can be asked to involve this. So the task is create an array using create array of numbers, because the first array we created is array of what? String. So create array of numbers using the constructor method. Constructor method. So the syntax is going to be we say let's say numbers equals to, now you type this new and then you type array. You type new and the array, the A must be in capital letter. Then you open it like this. So what is the difference between using syntax to create array and using constructor? The difference is the bracket. Look at the type of brackets you use here. This is square bracket, and the one you are using here is what? Parenthesis bracket. That is one of the difference. Now, another difference is that here you did not use a function to initiate the array. You just use the square bracket to call your value. But here you have to reference this new. And remember, like I said, you must follow the cap lock. This, if it is small letter, you see how it works. So let's try it now and see. Now, this is array of number. Since it's array of number, I could just list the number without putting them in any quotation, as we have already learned from variable concept. So I can just create array of numbers. So now the same thing. So I'm going to render this with the second ID, which is demo2. So let me use that to render this. But before that, I will have to end it here. Then I will say document.get elements by ID as well, and then string demo2, then concatenate inner HTML. That is, you are writing the JavaScript directly in an HTML element. So equals to reference what? Numbers, and then also terminate it here. So if I go to the front end and check, you see that what? The values are not outputted. So now let me make here capital letter and then go back to the front end and check. You see that what? You have been able to output the value of that array. So that is using array constructor, which means that you use an inbuilt function. Okay, you define it as an object using what? This new. So this is the syntax. Exactly. Please, I need a response before I continue.
That means we cannot use capital small array.
No. You can't use.
It won't work now. It won't output.
That is the reason why I have to try it first so that you understand it. If you are using the constructor mesh method, the format is that none of this must be written with capital letter. But when you get to where you want to initiate the array, the A must be in capital letter. That is the standard. Or you just depend on using this method. So these are just like two methods that you can choose to use whenever you are working or declaring array. Is that all?
But like, sir, if you want to like practice now, which of them is the standard one? Or you can use any of them.
You can use anyone, is acceptable. But these are some programmers will prefer using this one. Why some will use this one? But me, I prefer using this one because no more principles are involved. Prefer using this one. But there are some persons that will use it. But for learning sake, I have to show you all the modality so that you will not see one of JavaScript code and then you will be confused. That is
So
why
another thing. This new that you put before the array, what does it signify?
the object, that is what is used. It's just like you are saying that you are creating an object and it is part of the standard whenever you are using array constructor. The new must be there. Is a must.
Whether it's strings or numbers.
Whether it's string or number. This new
Well,
like a keyword, just like a property that is used to accompany the declaration of the array itself
it's
before
a constant.
the constant. Yes, it must be
Okay.
if you are using this constructor method. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next thing we want to learn now is assessing how to assess array values using index numbers. Now, we have once spoke about index number. I've told us before that when you have arrays of string in a variable or in any of these multiple data structure, you can decide. You see that when we outputted the array, the numbers and the fruit, we actually outputted all the values here. We also outputted all the values here. So supposing as a programmer, you are asked to, in this particular array, output only what? Apple. That is, we want to display only Apple to the users. We don't want them to see all at the moment. We just want to display only Apple. So in this case, you are going to recognize that each of these elements in your array are represented with numbers. where the first one is at what? Index 0, where the second one is at index 1, and then the third one is at index 2. Then the next one is at index 3. Then the last one is at index 4. Now, in programming, somebody will have asked that why is this one 0? The logic is that before you count this very one, how many items did you count? 0. You counted 0 before you count this apple. That is what? Nothing before it. That is why it is represented with 0. Now, if you want to count mango, you will have counted 1 as apple before you get to what? Mango. That is why it is also represented as 1. If you want to count purple, you must have counted 1, 2. That is why it's represented as 2. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the logic, so that you will not be wondering why will 1 become 0 in programming. That cut across all programming languages. So now that you understand that concept, so I want to ask us, if I want to display, I want to output only this particular, I want to output only purple, which index number will I use to call it out?
Index
Index
2.
2.
Index 2, right? Okay, now the tags is that I'm trying to put them in form of tags so that you can understand them. Now the task is that display or print only purple, to visitors from fruits array. So this is a task given to you as a programmer. So what you are going to do, the syntax to achieve this, you can see that I am emphasizing on syntax. It's very key you understand the structure of whatever you want to do. So the syntax is you call the method you want to use. So which of the method do you want to use to output that purple? So I can say document. So what I'm going to do now, I will comment this out now for now, so that it will no longer be displaying the previous one. So I am sorry, I don't have to, that is not the line I will have commented. This is the line that I will comment. For now, let me comment just to remove it from the outputs for now. Now, let me also comment this out for now. I'm writing it, then I'm pressing Control / to comment it automatically, just like the way we press Control / to create the comment. So now we don't have any item displaying. Now we want to answer that question that says that from this fruit array, we should display only purple. So apple is 0, mango is 1, then purple is 2. So the center, the way I'm going to select it, I can just say what? Document dot get elements by ID, document dot get element by ID, and the ID is demo 1. Then I'll also do dot inner HTML. Then once I do equals to, I will say fruits. Which is the name. Then I'll do square bracket, that is from fruit, select from fruit, select 0, 1, 2. select 2, then I'll close my. So if I go to front end, I'm expected to see, let's see if we have not done something right. Let's check our spelling. Front.
I think there is no demo 1, it's just demo. You put demo 1 there, but in that fruit there is just demo, there is no demo 1.
Okay, let me see. Wow, yeah, thank you. So the mistake is from here. So let's check if we'll get it. Perfect. So we're using a wrong ID. So you can see that the program is very sensitive, knows what it's doing. So with this now, I've been able to print out only. So if I want to print, let's say I say, though this one is actually called slicing. So if I do column to 3, okay, it won't work in this case. So for now, we can only print 1. Okay, so if I put 3 here, let's say we put 3 here, and then go back, it will print what? Another item. So this is one of the logic you can actually print value, how you can access value from your array if you don't want to print all the values. Now, the next one is what we call JavaScript length. So there is a property called length, which is used to count in case I want to know how many values are in an array. So that's what brings what? JavaScript what? A length property. So like I said, it's used to count. Values in an array. So the task is how many elements or value, how many elements or values are in the fruits array. So let's say you are asked this question. So what we are going to simply do, so I will just call, let me use document dot write, but I just want us to be familiar with the one that we are going to use most. So even if it is longer to write, it's better we get familiar to it. So using the demo also to output, then dot inner HTML, then I'll do equals to, then I'll simply do fruits, then you concatenate that length. Okay, so once you do that, if you go to the front end, it's going to tell you that what? There are 5. So you can see what it did. It counted all the elements you have in this array. If you count now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, is that clear?
Okay, when you are counting the values, you count from 1, but if it's index, you count from 0.
Please come again. I didn't hear you.
I said, if you are counting the values, you count from 1. Then in this index, you count from 0.
Yes. You know, the index are just a representation, numerical representation of those values in that container. That is what the index signify.
Okay.
So any question? So let me give us 10 minutes to play around this before we look at array method. So I'm going to be looking at some functions that are used to manipulate your array once it is created, which are very, very essential to know as a developer with this program. So I'm giving us 10 minutes to practice. Once the 10 minutes is over, I will continue. Then while you are working, I would like one of you to share your screen just to see what you are doing, or just work for the next 10 minutes so that you can stay on my screen. So I'm going to leave my screen shared. So just replicate everything I have done first within the next 10 minutes. So when I come back, before we continue, I will ask us to just preview your screen just to see what you have done. But let me leave my screen shared so that you can see what I've done. So you can start now. All right, so please let's continue. You take the rest as an assignment so that we can save our time. So I only wanted us to try. Okay, so like I said, we are looking at array methods. So how do we define array method? Array methods are, let's say, they are functions. They are functions used in manipulating array values. That is the the core function of what this method. So we are going to be taking them one after the other. So let me look at examples. I'll be taking them one after the other. They are actually much. They are up to like 30 or thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is to summarize the major ones, and then I'll give us an assignment to go and discover the rest. So the good thing about it is that once you know how to relate 2 or 3, all you need to do is to find out the name of and the role of others. You can follow that same format to implement them. So we are starting with the first one, which is let's look at push. Let's start with push as one of the most used array method. Push. So push is a method. It's one of the array method. Now, what is the function of this? How can we use the push to manipulate an existing array? Now, mind you, you must have an array created before you can involve these methods. Okay, like I've defined here, I said they are functions used in manipulating or for manipulating. They are functions used for manipulating array values or elements. Array value or elements. Okay, so which means that you must have created your array before you can think of involving them. So for example, when we say push, what are we trying to do here? So push allow us to add one or it allows us to add or add one or more array elements. or value to your existing array. Add one or more values to an existing array. So most time they are involved when you make mistake or when you want to update your array. So what is the task? Now, when we say we are deploying a method that allows us to add to an existing array, we need to be specific. Where is it going to add it? Supposing at the time you created this fruit array that have mango, apple, pawpaw, cashew, you forgot to add additional array like which other fruit can I use now? Let's say you forgot to add okay, we have banana. Let's say you forgot to add the name of this fruit now. Somebody should remind me of any other fruit that is not here. So let's say we forgot to add is anybody helping? Don't know why the name of fruits are running away from my memory.
I said pineapple.
Good. Pineapple. So you forgot to add pineapple.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Somebody said she cannot hear me. I want to find out if you can hear me now.
I can only hear your voice loud. Sir,
You said you can hear me? Hello, can you hear me? That could be network. Let me know if
voice is not.
the network is from my end or from your end. Flourish, can you hear me clearly? Flourish, can you hear me clearly?
Yes,
That mean,
I can hear you.
okay, that means it's from our own end. Mrs. Constant, can you hear me now? That should be your end if Flourish can hear me. So, like I was saying,
Your network is breaking.
okay, my network is breaking. Okay. What will I do? Let me check the network. How is it now?
Flourish.
Ma, can you hear me?
It's better now.
Better, right?
I hear you clearly, but Sir own is breaking and it's
Yes.
not clear.
Yes, it's better now.
It's better. Is it better now?
It's
Okay, so I was still talking about the push. Now the push says it is used to add one or more value to an existing array. So I was talking about being specific. Where exactly will it add the value? Like she said, we want to add what? Pineapple. The question is that where will this push update the pineapple? Is it between cashew and banana or between mango and what? Purple. So whenever you are using push as a method, it will always add to the end. So the criteria for using push, it is when you want to add additional value or element to your array after the last element. So let me rephrase the definition to add one or more value to the end of an existing array. So we are being specific now. So what is the syntax to do that? The syntax, that is the question, that is what I wanted to put here. The question is add or update fruits array with pineapple. Okay, so that is the task. So what is going to be the syntax? The syntax will be, you start by calling the name of the array you are updating. So which is what? I'll simply say fruits. Then you now concatenate. So calling that fruit means that you have invoked the whole of this. That is, you have called all the values in that array, and that you are adding it to what? To the push. To the push. So the push now is now a function. Now the value you want to supply, you will now pass it inside the push. So if the value is string, then you quote it. If it's a number, you don't quote it. So as usual, I will quote. I'll say we are passing in what? Pineapple. Okay, then I'll end it. Now, if I want to see the updates, so at that line, the update has happened already. But for me to update, for me to print, for me to see the update, comma, re-output fruits. So how do you re-output it? You do the same thing. Document dot get element by demo. So as usual, I will just say inner HTML, then equals to, I'll supply the fruits, because I'm printing everything for me to see if the pineapple has been added. So if I go back to the front end, you see that what? You have added what? Pineapple, and it was added to the end or after the last value. So that is when you are to use push. So all this, like I stated here, that are function used for manipulating array value. So after you have created an array, so it can occur to you that, you ought to have added this, you ought to have removed that, you ought to have changed this. So at that point, without you manually coming, what we are actually avoiding is for us to start coming here and put a comma and start quoting the omitted element or fruit. So we don't have to do that. So once you understand this array manipulating function, you should know the one that can send the updates or the added element to wherever it was created. So what we have done now is that we have just sent this push an error to come here and drop the pineapple inside this, irrespective of where it is within your program, without me manually coming here. So that is what we just demonstrated using the push function. So like I said, I'm going to be focusing on so let's wait for Flourish to see if she will join in a few minutes. Hope her laptop has not gone off. I know she just come. Okay, so that is for push. So let's quickly look at the next one, which is number 2. Number 2, we are looking at pop. This is another array method. In other words, another array function for manipulating the content of a created array. So what does this does, or what is it used for? To remove. So if I have created an array and I want to remove the last, element in an array, to remove the last element in an array. So in this case now, the task is delete in this case now I'm going to work with this array, this number array, delete 60, so that's the last element from numbers array. So that is the question. We are to delete 60 without us manually coming here to clear it up. So we are sending the pop an errand to go and locate where we have number as an array, then delete the last one. That is when you use pop. So you can see that it's like the direct opposite of what? Shift. Sorry, of push. Push is to add after the last element, while a pop is to remove the last element. So what will be the syntax? What will be the syntax? So the syntax is you are still going to reference the name of that array you want to delete the last element from, and then you put the pop. That's why I told us that once you understand their function, they have familiar way of writing them just for you to attach. Now in this case now, you are not quoting anything. You are not saying because you want to remove I think it's going to be the pineapple, sorry, going to be the 60, since we are working with this number array. So I don't have to use this. I think this is wrong. I have to use number because this is where I am directing the pop to. Okay, so I don't have to type the 60 inside. The function knows is the one that we calculate, that we find the last element. So it's not your duty to assist the function. That is what the function is built for. It will scan through the whole of that variable, that array that you concatenated to it, and then locate the last value and delete it. Now that will have happened. Now for me to notice that, I need to what? To check if truly the pop has removed the 60 as the last element. In what?
That must it be the system that will be removed?
Yes, this particular function have their basic, like you cannot use push to add element to in between. Let's take note of that. These are constrained. They are for specific. If you want to remove maybe element that is not the last, there is another array method for it. So they are not designed to carry out the same function. Is that clear? Flourish, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm clear, sir.
Okay, so now the syntax to check, we just have to reprint. So we say our document dot get element, document dot get element. Let's say we are using, was it demo 2 or demo 1? Okay, demo 2. Let's use this one to output demo 2. Then dot inner, that is write it in HTML elements with an ID demo and output what number again. So from there, we will know if the 60 will still be there or not. If I go to the front end, you can see that it outputted the value there and 60 has been excluded, which means that you have successfully used the pop to remove the last element from that array. So the next one, I just want to look at a couple of them before we end the class, because the next time we are meeting, I'm going to be working on JavaScript functions. So once we are done with functions, then we'll start looking at some advanced aspect of it. All these still falls under intermediate aspect of JavaScript, which you need to know as a programmer with JavaScript. So now let's still deal with more. So this is the third array method, which is on shift. So I expected on shift. Okay, before on shift, let's look at shifts first. So there's also a method called shift. And what is it used for? So shift add one element, add one or more elements to the beginning. So you can see it now, to the add one or more element to the beginning of an array. So you can see that shift is the direct opposite of what? Push. Push add to the add after the last element, while shift add to the beginning. So what is the task? The task is that add. So let's focus on fruit. Let's focus on fruit. Add. Which other fruit again? Mommy Purity, give us another fruit name. Flourish has given us one. Here are all these fruits now.
Orange.
Orange. So add
Watermelon.
add orange to the beginning. Add orange to the beginning of fruits array. So this is the task. So what will be the syntax? So the syntax will be I will call the name of that array, and then I will say, remember that we are adding, I will call the name of that array. So what will I put here now? I will call the name of that array, then I will select sorry, I will concatenate it with the shifts. I will concatenate it with the shifts. Then is a function. So what you want to add is a string. So like you said, which of the fruit name you just mentioned now? You mentioned one fruit name.
You said orange.
Orange, good. So orange. Now you end it. Now for us to see the update, we have to reprint. So I'll do document dot get element by ID string. So let me use demo. Let me use just demo to output it. So I will say dot inner, write it in an HTML element, and then supply what? Fruit again. End it. So if I go to the front end, you see that what? You have ZD at all.
No, it's not there.
Hmm?
No.
It's not here. Okay, so let's check maybe demo in HTML. Yeah, it's a mistake. Okay, shift. Okay, let me try something and see. So let's say we are adding orange. Okay, let's say we are adding orange. Because I said more than one. So if you are adding more than one, you have to use the square bracket to select them. So which other fruit you call the other time? In purity, you call another fruit that time outside orange. Which other fruit did you call? Cannot hear. Okay, so let's just confirm. Flourish, which other fruit she called that time?
Watermelon.
The water.
Watermelon.
Yes, watermelon. So I need to also.
Watermelon.
Yes, I've had it. So now let me refresh. Yeah, we need to let me stop which of the output I did last just to be. I think demo. I need to stop one of the outputs. So let's say this is where we outputted. Just want to debug where the error is first. So one of them could be stopping it. Let me see. It might be conflict. So when you experience that, you have to temporarily turn off some things until you are able to rectify it. So this is the array I'm talking about. So I need to leave that one on. Document.getElement by ID. Okay, so let's check. It's still outputting this. So let me refresh. Let me try something. ID. Let's say demo 3. Let me use another. Let me run it again. Something is wrong somewhere. So let me just take some time working, but so the definition of shift, I said shift is to add, or which one did I say is to remove? Have I used any one remove? So shift is actually to remove. So it does not require passing any value. So he knows that is to remove the first element. So what was the first element? Let's check. The first element, was it mango that time? So I need to bring, was it mango? So let me bring this back. Let me bring this.
No, it was apple.
It was apple, right?
It
Okay,
was apple.
which means that
Yes.
it has removed it. It has
The
removed.
thing, yes, it works.
Yes, it works. So I was
They
waiting
say
for another. I was quoting it for on shifts. So what I was thinking before is on shift. So please let's correct it. Where is it? Where did I I say add? No, this is to remove.
remove the first element.
Remove the first element. Remove the first element. So that is the function. So let's quickly look at on shifts. So what I was actually explaining before falls under on shift. So it is the on shift that help us to add. So on shift to add one or more elements to the beginning of an array. So that is like the direct opposite. So the syntax will be you call
It's add.
the you have question. The syntax will be you concatenate it with the unshift method. Then because we are adding two at the same time, just for you to know the logic for adding two at the same time. We are adding two at the same time to the beginning. So you have to put them in square brackets. So you define them inside the square bracket. So how many elements do we have there already? We have this. Okay, so let me apply the watermelon. The watermelon. So you use comma, then another string. Let's just say corn. So you end it as well. So for you to view the update, to view the update, you have to reprint. So I will just do document dot get element by ID. Use that demo3 to output dot inner HTML equals to fruits again, just to see the updates. So let's check whether the two of them have been added. So you can see you were able to add two of them. So if you want to add multiple value, all you need is just to nest them in square brackets, use comma to separate them. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
So we are going to stop here. Your assignment is to, how many method did I use so far? How many method? I think it's just 4, right? We use
Push,
push,
pull,
use
shift, and unshift.
so I said there are much out there. So your assignment is to research and apply, because you are going to preview it before the next class. Research and apply. So you are not just researching, you research and then you create an array to practice them. So I will preview your screen, your scripts, to know how, for example, just like what I'm doing. So create tags, just like the way I was creating tags for implementing each and every one of them. So you do the same thing. So if you research on one, you define it using comment, and then you create a task you want to perform with it, so that you can just show us your screen. So you are researching on additional 10 outside these ones that I've used. Don't use any of these ones again as part of your assignment. So any question? Any question? So our next class will be looking at JavaScript functions. Do we have any question before I end the session? Mrs. Constant, are you still here?
Yes, sir. So let me see your index.html.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes?
Sir, can you?
I should do what? Flourish.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. There was one task I was trying to do before, but the thing was giving me, I don't understand. I I was like, then B equals to A. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
You said that like B.
Okay. I said let A equals to 2.
Okay, let's
A equals
let A, Abi? The network.
let equal
Say let A
let A equals to 2. Equals to 2.
equals to 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And B equals to A.
And B equals to A. Okay.
Then C equals to B.
Wait. Equals to A. Oh, let me help you to write it. C equals to what? B. Abi?
Equals
Oh God.
to B.
Why is your network
Yes.
disturbed? Even the question self is weighing the network down. So what is your plan? What do you want to do then? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
It's from certain.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you guys now.
Okay. This they try to do me. No, even they give me answer.
I can hear you now, Flourish.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So what do you
And
want?
I said that A times C, but it's not giving me any answer.
Now say A times
I was
A times what?
times C.
Times C.
C.
Uh-huh. So
C.
this is A times C now.
C. Yes.
Uh-huh.
It not give me any answer.
So when you alert what? Which one did you alert? Alert what? Which one of them did you output?
I wanted the multiplication between.
So that means
I
you
want to
say,
see.
let's say G is equals to this. Abi? So that we can print G.
Yes.
So that we can print G. Then when you go to the front end,
Okay.
look at what you have. So now look at it here. You said A equals to what? B. A
2.
equals to 2. Then you now say that B is equals to A.
Is equals to A.
So which means what you are saying
Yes.
is that B is taking the value of
Is
A.
equals to 2.
And then you now say that C is equals to
Is
what?
equals to B.
Which means that
B, which is also equals to 2.
B is equals to 2. Right?
Yes, sir.
Flourish, you want to twist our brain this night, have you? Look at your answer now, Flourish.
Okay. I've seen it, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I did not
Is
put
that
this.
4 or A?
That is
It's
4 now.
4.
It's 4.
Because the answer
Okay.
yes, the
Because you
answer
don't
should be
not put
4.
alert now.
No, because I
I
use
did not put
alert.
alert. That is why.
Okay. Oh, you did not use this to
No wonder it's not sure.
you just stop here.
I just yes.
And your village motor go carry am.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good
Okay.
night, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
All right.